What people want Facebook to be is about their family and friends. They want to have a place where they can stay in touch with that friend from college they haven't seen in a long time, see their niece's new baby. They want personal social media. I think there's going to be a new platform that is decentralized, that is a Web3 platform, that is owned by the users. And I think there's a big optimism, I have a lot of optimism for that in the same way that taking Twitter private creates options. If Facebook wasn't a for-profit company that had to grow every single quarter, we would probably still have a product much more like the Facebook of 2008. In 2008, none of us were saying Facebook's going to end the world.
Friends and family.
It was friends and family. But your friends and family let Facebook down. They needed you to keep producing more and more content so people could look at more and more content every quarter, and your friends and family didn't do that. So the Digital Services Act is something that Europe should be incredibly proud of. It is the single most significant piece of legislation about the internet that has ever been written, right? It is monumental. And the reason for that is things like Facebook or many other tech platforms are very, very different than almost every other comparably powerful industry in the world. If we were talking about an oil company, and the oil company had an oil derrick, and there's some children downwind that were getting sick, we would not rely on the word of the oil company to assess what was going wrong. If they said, oh, no, it's the clouds that are causing these problems, it's not the smoke, like, we wouldn't sit there and be like, we should really look into meteorology. We wouldn't do that. If we were talking about a car, we can buy a car and crash it and see if it's safe. We can put sensors on the car and see if it pollutes what the company claims it pollutes. For Facebook and for the other large platforms, we have been reliant on their word of what we should focus on, what we should discuss. And the reason for that is we see just our computer screens. We see that's our experience of Facebook, but all the interesting bits are back behind the curtain. We have to see what the consequences of these algorithms are. We need transparency into what the algorithms are, because the editorial choices that Facebook is making right now with user-generated content and with the algorithms, it has real-world consequences. And I think as soon as we're able to start building that public muscle of accountability, once the DSA gives us access to data, we're going to see a much broader set of possible solutions going forward. Basically, every kid you talk to says, I want to use social media less, right? I know it makes me unhappy. Like, this is from Facebook's own documents. Facebook's own thing described it as an addict's narrative. I know this makes me unhappy. I can't control my usage. I want to use it less, but I can't. And if I leave, I'll be ostracized. If a single child says, I want to play with my friends in person more, they don't get to make that choice in isolation, because if their friends are all online playing video games in the metaverse, their friends aren't actually available to go spend time with them in person. And so we're going down a road, and like Facebook's paying $10 billion a year to push us down this road, where we might look up in 5 years, 10 years and say, we have a bunch of 16-year-olds who all would like to hang out with their friends in person, but when we ask them, they say, none of my friends would want to hang out with me in person. Yeah. And what have we lost at that point? And so I want us to ask those questions now while we still have a chance to think about them. You know, let's imagine you're a 16-year-old and you're kind of awkward. You know, you're not as handsome as you like to be. You know, it's kind of hard in person, like going up and talking to someone for the first time. You know, if you end up shifting your attention into this virtual world where you're more handsome, your clothes are better, your apartment's better, everything's cooler, your friends are cooler, right? They're more handsome and beautiful and have better.
Sneakers are more expensive.
Oh, you have the best NFT sneakers in the world. And then you come home at the end of the night, you gotta like brush your teeth and wash your face, and you look in the mirror, and you're not cool anymore. What does that do? It pulls people into the metaverse. And so I don't want to be dystopian and be like, oh, we're all doomed, we're gonna end up in the metaverse. But I think we should ask questions, because the natural inclination is gonna be to suck us towards these things, because the hardware is gonna get cheaper, it's gonna get faster, it's gonna be more high res, it's gonna get better and better. And we want it to be something that supplements our lives, that enriches our lives, not something that becomes our lives.